Okay, guys, seriously, we can talk about whatever you want to talk about. Anything. I'm kind of like, I don't know, I'm not feeling it today. I don't really know what to talk about. I can't think of a movie that I've seen that I didn't tell you guys about. It's not true, there's tons of stuff. But I don't really know. I was figuring I'd talk about Kevin Smith. Kevin Smith, the movie director. Because some people hate Kevin Smith, and I don't know if I'm one of them. I mean, I have like every one of his DVDs, almost. I mean, like, when Kevin Smith first was a person, it was like really cool because it's like, and I guess part of it was like Kevin Smith was like starting to be a person when I was first introduced to like being into directors and movies and stuff. So like as I was discovering that it's trendy and cool to like underground cool directors, Kevin Smith was there for me. Because he did Clerks and Mallrats and Dogma. I believe those were all he had in Chasing Amy. Like when I first found him. I remember hearing about Dogma when it came out and being like, that movie sounds awesome, but like not really knowing who Kevin Smith was. And one of my close friends at the time introduced me to Kevin Smith in the form of a little Kevin Smith viewing party. I felt so cool because his first movie is black and white, Clerks. You heard of it? And it's like, this is just a dude. He was like 28 at the time. He just went for it. He just got a camera. He's like started going to film school and he dropped out and he just went to work, and it was cool. It was black and white and artsy and vulgar and interesting, and the conversations felt realistic. I worked at a movie store at the time. Did I? When I first heard of Kevin Smith, I think I was already working at the movie store. I mean, I know that's kind of backwards. Like, when I got my job at my movie store, I didn't know anything about movies. I wasn't interested in movies. I was just a video game nerd. Through being able to rent anything I wanted, I got this deep appreciation that's going to follow me for my entire life. So, it's weird that, like, I was an adult before I was a movie lover. I used to never care about, I'm getting off subject, but I used to never care, shut up email, I used to never care about who was in a movie. Didn't care at all, or like who made it. I mean, I watched movies because everybody watches movies, but I never really cared. And when I first started caring about directors and started realizing the real good qualities of movies, Kevin Smith was one of those first people. But like, there's a disconnect between Kevin Smith and I, because I like the counterculture, and I like the kind of nerdy comic booky. I mean, I'm not a comic book enthusiast. I like the characters, but I don't own any comic books. But I appreciate the culture. Like, I don't know anything about Dungeons and Dragons or Magic the Gathering, but I like those people. Like, I feel welcome, because I'm a video gamer, and like, we're made out of the same stuff. But at the same time, Kevin Smith has like his two stoner characters, Jay and Silent Bob. Silent Bob, of course, played by him. And I just don't relate to like the drug culture. I don't know, that Chasing Amy, I thought it didn't click with me. Like, I didn't even get through the whole thing, and maybe I should give it another go. But it just didn't really click with me. Like, nothing felt like it was going. But on the other hand, Dogma was such a fantastic movie. And maybe it's the subject matter, because even though I'm not religious, I'm very interested in the whole idea of religion. I think it's definitely fascinating, and it's fun to take, like, hey, what if this stuff were real? I'm not trying to make anybody mad. It's fine if you want to believe what you want to believe. But, so Dogma was great. And then also, Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, even though it was like kind of a stoner comedy, I mean, it was like a deadbeat. I appreciate the idiots, and I appreciate the goofiness, and I appreciate dumb humor, and smart dumb humor. So I really liked that movie. I mean, like, one of my favorite things about Kevin Smith is the dialogue that he comes up with. It's probably his best skill, is dialogue. He's also a great storyteller. He can just tell a great story. There's definitely instances of him doing that well. Now, to move on, I thought Zack and Miri was good and interesting and whatever. I mean, it was just kind of a blah comedy, and I know it didn't do very well. I have Jersey Girl. I bought Jersey Girl. I mean, I'm sure I bought it used, like I always say. And I didn't think it was a bad movie. It was definitely a flop, but it didn't feel like Kevin Smith. And I liked Cop Out. I thought Cop Out was a good movie. As Kevin Smith has grown older, I feel like he's trying to redefine who he is. And that's great, I guess. You know, if he wants to have that journey and he feels like he wasn't on the right path and he didn't like where he was. But I thought Clerks 2 was a great homage to himself by himself, and I enjoyed Clerks 2 a lot. Red State was interesting and intense, and it's like, I feel like it's like if Quentin Tarantino stopped making action movies. I mean, if it makes Kevin Smith happy, that's cool. But then the other thing I feel like I have to say about him is that I've talked about his Evening with Kevin Smith stuff before. I'm sure I've mentioned it, right? I did. I don't remember what I've talked about in movie reviews. But in his, like, most late stuff, he's doing drugs now. Apparently he never really did drugs before, but now he's, like, doing drugs. And I know it's just, like, late, marijuana and all that stuff. But I have no, like I said, I have no appreciation for any of that. And I'm disappointed in him. He's, like, taken away from his goodness. Like, not like I think he's, like, a Holy Spirit or some shit like that. But what I mean is, like, I feel like he's diminishing his ability. And maybe not. I don't know if there's like scientific research on like drugs making you not as good at doing stuff that you're awesome at. But like Kevin Smith is good at certain stuff, and he doesn't seem to have any interest in doing that stuff anymore. And now he wants to try to redefine himself and do other stuff. And he did Red State, and I've heard him say that he has like one other movie that he wants to do, and then he's going to stop directing. And I think that's stupid, because if you look at the guys behind the show Reno 911, there's Ben Garant and then Thomas Lennon. They direct a lot of huge budget Hollywood comedies, and they make a lot of money, and then they're also just good, like, they do their own funny sketch comedy stuff. And I thought after Reno 911 got canceled that they disappeared, but that's not the fact. Like, they did, like, the Night at the Museum movies and stuff. Like, they make huge budget movies, and I think it's cool that they're using their skills, and they're finding a way to sell out, but do it in a way where they're bringing their abilities to us. And, but also they take the time to do the stuff that they want to do. I feel like Kevin Smith should sell out a little bit. He's great with the comic book stuff. Why doesn't Kevin Smith do a major, like, comic book movie? I know that they've offered him it. Like, or, I mean, I know that he does writing for comic books and stuff like that. Why doesn't he accept the fact that he's Kevin Smith and that he should be doing Kevin Smith stuff? So, I don't ever think I'm going to have the opportunity to tell Kevin Smith how I feel, and then I feel even if I did, he wouldn't care, because he's himself, and who am I to tell him what I think he should do? But at the same time, I still have a lot of respect for this guy, and I have a huge appreciation for his earlier movies. But it's like, looking back, it's like, am I holding his stuff up on like some kind of magical glory pedestal because of what it was to me? And in actuality, it's not anything. Am I hoarding Kevin Smith movies, thinking that they're valuable, and in reality they're like my own feces in a bag? I hope not. What do you guys think?